Last time on Who Would Ask for Muck in Smash Brothers.
If this video gets about as popular as my TF2 dubs, then I'll make a follow-up to this video.
And what happened since then? Well, fuck it, I'm doing it anyways. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new series on this channel that I like to call Who Would Ask for This, where I talk about certain video game characters and what they would be like as fighters in Super Smash Brothers, but only the ones that literally no one would ask for. I'm pretty sure this goes without saying, but this video series is not meant as predictions or who I genuinely think should be future characters in the game, but it's mostly a fun little outlet to incite creativity into otherwise blasé characters. As for who I'm going over today, you thought I was kidding about the Pianta thing, were you? Following the Piranha Plant philosophy by taking a seemingly superfluous Mario character and making a fun Smash moveset out of, here we have the Pianta. This idea actually came about while I was making the Muck video, and I just thought it'd be a fun idea to tackle after I'm done with Muck. I don't really have a long backstory for this character, so let's just get right into their technicals. Unlike Muck from last time, I see the Piantas as being a mid to below average heavyweight character. I don't really see them as being that much heavier than a Yoshi. Their speed would also be a bit below average, being more akin to DDD, which actually kinda makes sense given their body shape. And because they wouldn't have any other additional movement options, let's just get right into their attacks. The Pianta's jab will be a 2-hit punch which leads to a rapid jab of multiple punches, very similar to Bowser Jr.'s jab, only a little bit slower. The dash attack will be them charging forward with a spinning punch. Then their side two will be them jutting forward with the end of their palm tree bat from the Mario baseball games. Trust me, this will be important later. Then their up tilt will be them jumping out with their arms out while yelling in an angry tone. The Piantas do this in Sunshine whenever you spray them with water as a sort of funny reaction. And their down tilt will simply be them sweeping the ground with their backhand. Actually, if you use this move right next to a ledge while someone's hanging off of it, you can actually meteor them. Now let's move on to their smash attacks. For their side smash, they get out that palm tree bat from before and swing it much like any good baseball player. And as you probably guessed, this attack is rather similar to Ness's, only a bit stronger and a little slower. And just like Ness, you can actually reflect certain projectiles with this attack. Their up smash actually takes inspiration from Gelato Beach from Super Mario Sunshine, where they stand aside and start spraying a Doom Bud with a little watering can, and when the attack is unleashed, a giant sand dune will spread out from the ground. The dune itself will actually vary in size and shape depending on how long the smash attack is charged. If it's charged for barely any time at all, it'll take the shape of a pyramid. If it's charged for half the time of an average smash attack, it'll take the shape of a giant fist. And when it's fully charged, it'll take the shape of a large sandcastle, in reference to episode 1 of Gelato Beach. And speaking of Gelato Beach, for their down smash, the Pianta will make a stance similar to a sumo wrestler about to stomp on the ground, and when they do, a platform will jet off from the ground, launching the foe in the opposite direction of where the Pianta is facing. This is in reference to episode 2 of Gelato Beach. Moving on from their smash attacks and onto their neutral area, the Pianta will spin a pair of fire sticks in their hands that deal fire damage to those who get hit. Now, unlike the other attacks, this one is less based off of Sunshine or anything from the other games, but more so based off of Hawaiian fire dancers, which I thought could make sense for these guys given that they all wear Hawaiian skirts. Then for their forward air, they swing their arm forward while holding a watermelon instead! Yeah, that. And as a cute little visual detail, the melon will actually burst upon hitting an opponent with it. Cause let's face it, you probably experienced the hurt too if you were clobbered in the face by a watermelon. Then onto the Pianta's back air, they get out their palm tree bat again and then jet it backwards as a sort of reverse motion of their forward tilt. Then for their up air, they're seen holding aloft the Shine Sprite to deal solar damage, a reference to whenever Mario collects a Shine Sprite in Super Mario Sunshine. It's also in reference to just how important the Shine Sprites are to both the Piantas and all of Isle Delfino. And now the Pianta's down air involves a crate appearing in front of them as they use their palm tree trunk again to smash it, causing wooden shrapnel to spray downwards. This is in reference to the crate smashing challenges from Delfino Plaza. Next up, it's time for the Piantas to get all grabby. The Pianta's grab animation sees them getting the opponent in a headlock with one arm and using the other arm to pummel them. The Pianta's forward throw involves them getting the opponent low to the ground so that they can then kick them. This is in reference to how you can't actually pick up durians in Super Mario Sunshine where you have to only kick them, though the inspiration is a little bit loose in this case. The Pianta's up throw is basically as simple as them standing them upright so that they can perform an uppercut on them. Now for those who've played Super Mario Sunshine, or at the very least seen my previous Muck video, then you know exactly what their back throw is. Though I know what you're thinking.
Back throws can kill at 50%!
No, of course it does not kill at 50% because that would be stupidly broken. That was mostly an exaggeration from someone who's played that level and got overly frustrated by something that was designed around talking to people at the right time. I think most of us who have also played this level can relate to that. Though I guess to make reference to that, this move could potentially launch foes stupidly far and could probably be seen as one of the strongest back throws in the game. Like, I'm talking Incineroar and Dr. Mario levels of back throwage. Now for how the Pianta performs its down throw, one of Don Pianta's goons from Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door appears behind the opponent as he and the player Pianta pummel the opponent into the ground. Trust me, this will also be important later. Now for what a lot of people like to focus on in Smash character movesets, the specials. And let me tell you, the Pianta certainly starts off strong with their neutral special, for they whip out a basket. No, really, they get out a basket. This is in reference to the Lady Piantas in Delfino Plaza, where they ask for 3 different kinds of fruit in a basket in exchange for a blue coin. In terms of what it will do in Smash Brothers, it will pretty much function the same way as Mr. Game & Watch's Oil Panic. Pointing it in a certain general direction allows you to absorb up to 3 projectiles in order to get a certain added effect. The amount of projectiles that you've absorbed is indicated by a little icon next to your health meter. Though unlike Oil Panic, where you empty the contents of the basket as a sort of big attack when you get 3 stacks, you actually get an added effect when you get those 3 stacks. One of 2 random effects to be precise. The first of which is that you'll gain 10 to 15% of your health back depending on what kind of projectiles you've absorbed, and the other is a temporary power boost which lasts up to 5 to 7 seconds, which once again depends on what kind of projectiles you've absorbed. Next, moving on to something a bit more simple, the Pianta's side special, blooper surfing. It's as simple as them jumping onto a yellow blooper and then surfing across the battlefield, hitting anyone who gets in their way. This is based off of episodes 2 and 8 of Rico Harbor, where you surf on top of multicolored bloopers. Functionally, it works rather similarly to Bowser Jr.'s Koopa except you can jump and turn around without needing to stop the attack. Though you are able to stop the attack by pressing the other attack buttons, waiting it out for about 6 seconds, or just by bumping into a wall. Moving on to the Pianta's up special, which is unfortunately a little less ridiculous than Muck's Sludge Bomb, the Cataquack Leap. For this attack, a Cataquack appears behind the Pianta and simply launches them into the air. The Cataquacks themselves also made their debut in Super Mario Sunshine from, you guessed it, Gelato Beach. I should probably also mention that the Pianta themselves also have a temporary hitbox when they're initially launched into the air, which immediately disappears once they start to fall. As for the Cataquack, they'll also disappear once the Pianta starts to fall, but that's only when they use it in the air. If they use it on the ground, the Cataquack will actually stick around for a while longer, for about 10 seconds at most, or until the Pianta uses the move again. Like Mega Man's Rush or Sonic's Spring, they'll just stand there waiting for someone else to come by, or the Pianta to come by. To which, if a player decides to approach them from the front, they can actually launch them into the air. One last thing I'll say about this attack is that when the Pianta uses this attack, there is a very rare chance that a red Cataquack will spawn instead of a blue. The main differences between the two is that not only do red Cataquacks launch Piantas and players higher than the blue, but also when players run into them, they'll take damage in addition to being launched. Which leads us to the Pianta's last and by extension most dangerous attack, their down special, the Chain Chomplet. This attack is based off of episode 1 of Pianta Village, where you have to spray the pups with water because they're on fire, then launch them into a lake in order to calm them down. In terms of Smash Brothers, pressing the down B action causes the Chain Chomplet to appear in front of the Pianta, and moving in a certain direction causes the Pianta to pull on the Chomplet's tail, which charges the attack. Once you let go of the B button, the Pianta lets go of the Chomplet's tail, and the Chomplet is sent charging forward as a projectile. The speed and power of this attack all depends on how long the Chomplet is being charged. In fact, when it's fully charged, the Chomplet will actually catch fire. And when it's unleashed, the Chomplet will be launched stupidly far and stupidly fast, causing tremendous fire damage to anyone who happens to be in its way. This unfortunately leads to the move's biggest downside. The longer it's being charged, then the longer the move's end lag will be. And when this attack's fully charged, the Pianta will actually stumble backwards and fall on his ass before getting back up, leaving you a sitting duck for a solid 2.5 seconds before being able to do anything again. And if they launch that thing at someone with a reflect, That could be a death sentence. Because the Piantas have no other gimmicks outside of their neutral special, let's just get right into their final smash. And because the Piantas don't really have any sort of notable big attacks throughout the Mario series, I kinda had to do a little bit of innovating. Thus I have decided to call their final smash Fireworks Cannon. Here's how it plays out. Once the attack is activated, the Pianta will grab out the big red cannon used to fire Mario into Peanut Park in Super Mario Sunshine and then slam it down on up to 3 opponents who are directly in front of him. This leads to the cannon Pianta popping out of the entrance on top of the cannon, slowly aiming it towards the background and then firing the opponent into the sky as they explode into fireworks. Anyone who happens to survive this attack will just immediately get spiked onto the field, while anyone who doesn't survive will immediately get star KO'd when the fireworks explode. I guess one last thing I could note is that this attack is actually not a cinematic final smash, meaning that while this attack is going on, anyone not caught within the attack can still continue the fight. You may have noticed throughout this video that I've always been referring to the Piantas as they or them, as if they're multiple characters. Well, that's because as we reach the alternate costumes, I decided that not only are the Piantas going to be different colors, but they're also going to have different clothes, indicating that they're portraying different characters. Starting with the default, when many people think the default color for a Pianta, many people will point to cyan or light blue. And yeah, I can also agree with that. However, I'm not just going to stick with a blank dingus and be done with it. I want to give this costume a little bit of pizzazz. Something that represents an average Joe, but still doesn't seem bland. Thus, the default Pianta costume is slate blue with a Hawaiian green shirt and a backpack of mushrooms. This represents that one Pianta who's always running around Delfino Plaza in Super Mario Sunshine. This is what I meant by before, something that kinda represents an average Joe, but doesn't seem all bland. These next few costumes, though, are based off of more defined Pianta characters. For the most part. Like this yellow one with a black mustache, who's based off of the sunglasses vendor. Halfway through the game, you can talk to this guy and he'll give you a pair of sunglasses that slightly dim the screen, and after you defeat the final boss, he'll even give you a Hawaiian shirt that was also referenced in Mario Odyssey. Up next, we have an indigo Pianta, who is a reference to the captain from Rico Harbor. Then we have a pink Pianta in a red coat in reference to the hotel owner from Serena Beach. Then we have a light orange Pianta in cop clothes in reference to the Delfino Island Police.
Fuck the police coming straight from the underground.
You knew I had to reference that. And yeah, the reason why I didn't go with the blue one is because I didn't want to have a repeat of colors. Well, moving on from that, we next have a red lady Pianta in reference to the Chomp Keeper from Pianta Village. Now suddenly, the Piantas Down special makes a lot more sense. Up next we have Magenta, who is the second and final Lady Pianta character, who is in reference to one of the Doot Doot sisters. And yes, aside from maybe Francesca, I couldn't find any other notable female Pianta characters for this. Though speaking of Francesca, that brings us to the last Pianta costume, who is this orange fellow in reference to Don Pianta from Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door. Cause hey, if I was the Don of Untimely Death, I too would spend my retirement beating the shit out of anime swordsmen with palm tree trunks and watermelons. Oh, and my own henchman too. Yeah, now the down throw makes a lot more sense as well. Okay, now that we're in the home stretch, let's finally talk about the intro, taunts, and victory animations. Like their final smash, I couldn't find anything notable to use as their intro, so I had to do a bit of innovating. So for their intro animation, they simply get up from a beach chair. The Pianta's up taunt will be them doing that one dance from Sunshine whenever they're waiting or excited about something. Next, for their side taunt, they hold out a sign with an arrow on it pointing in a certain direction, as a reference to both that one level in Peanut Park where you have to bring a chain chomp to a bath, as well as most of the Il Piantissimo races in Super Mario Sunshine. Then the Pianta's down taunt will be them twiddling around with a ukulele. There are a few times in Mario Sunshine where you see a Pianta holding a ukulele. Okay, let's talk about the Pianta's victory animations and wrap this video up. The Pianta's first victory animation is a shine sprite hovering above them as they do that little victory dance that they play at the end of Super Mario Sunshine. The Pianta's second victory animation is them constantly jumping up and down for joy. This is in reference to both whenever you do something nice for them in Super Mario Sunshine, like clean them up of goop and give them free fruits, like I said earlier, as well as their victory animation from Super Mario Sluggers. And finally, the Pianta's last victory animation is them sitting back down in their beach chair while playing their ukulele. And yes, I didn't forget the Kirby hat. So there you have it. That sums up how I think the Piantas will be like as fighters in Smash Brothers. You can expect the next episode of this series a little while after my next pair of TF2 dubs and more importantly my next stop motion project. As for what I'm going over next time, who says it's wrong to celebrate the spookies after Halloween?